Now, if you notice that in this line, stood still to smile. This S, sound of S is getting repeated in the neighboring words. So this is alliteration. And here also terribly transient, T is getting repeated. Again, it is alliteration. Then transient feet. In transient feet, a figure of speech transferred epithet has been used. Now, epithet means a modifier, generally an adjective, which describes a noun. All right. Now, what is transferred epithet? When a modifier, or you can say epithet, qualifies a noun other than the person or thing it is actually describing. In other words, modifier is transferred from the noun it is meant to describe to another noun in the sentence. Like here it is describing feet. Otherwise, the poet has tried to call human life transient, not feet. So the poet has used feet instead of human life. That is transferred epithet. The noun has changed. Transient means short-lived. So feet is not short-lived. Human life is short-lived. Okay, so that ways transferred epithet, figure of speech, has been used. Now, second stanza. Some 20-30 years later, she would laugh at the snapshot. See, Betty and Dolly, she would say, and look how they dressed us for the beach. The sea holiday was her past, mine is her laughter. The poet is remembering her mother, how her mother used to look at the photograph, the snapshot, after 20-30 years later. She has not specifically mentioned whether 20 or 30, but somewhat like that. 20 after many years later, when the mother was looking at the photograph and she was commenting on it. See, Betty and Dolly, that means the name of those two girl cousins were Betty and Dolly, and she was commenting on the dress they were wearing on that day. So, and look how they dressed us for the beach. It was she was enjoying the fun they had in the beach through that photograph. So she was remembering her childhood days. She was remembering the innocence of her childhood days. The sea holiday was her past. Mine is her laughter. Now, the poet as well as the mother, they are both remembering their past. The sea holiday was her past. That means the time, the photograph, by seeing the photograph, she remembered the past, the day when they had gone out for some entertainment by the seaside. That was her past. She was remembering that the time has gone, and there is a sense of loss in her mind. Mine is her laughter. And in case of the poet is missing her mother. She is a look at the snapshot would remind her how her mother laughed at the photograph and remembered her past. So she's missing the joyful moments she enjoyed with her mother. So both are remembering something. Both are reliving the memories, different memories, by looking at the photograph. Both rive with the labored ease of loss. Both disappointed, dejected. Both of them suffer. Both of them suffer a sense of loss. On one hand, the mother lost her childhood, which was filled with innocent joys, and that time was lost forever, and she was remembering and she was feeling sad about it. On the other hand, poet has lost her mother. She will never be able to see her sweet smiling face ever again in life. So both of them suffer and struggle to bear the loss, to cope with the pain of their losses. So here you can see one poetic device, labored ease, in labored ease. See, these two words are opposite in meaning, but they are used together to bring in a different effect by the poet. Labored ease. All right. They were both were trying to cope with their losses with great struggle, trying to ease that out. Okay, trying to cope with their losses. So labored ease. So this kind of poetic device is called oxymoron. Oxymoron. Like one example, if I give you kind cruelty, okay, where two opposites are used together, with, like, suppose for example, kind cruelty of the surgeon's knife. Okay, so that in that manner oxymorons are used. The third stanza now. Now she's been dead nearly as many years as that girl lived. She's mentioning that girl means the girl who was 12 years old. So it's been dead almost 12 years that her mother is dead. And of this circumstance, that means circumstance here refers to the death of her mother, there is nothing to say at all. The circumstance, that is the death of her mother, has created so much of melancholy and hopelessness that the poet has become speechless. She cannot find any words to describe her pain at all. So there is nothing to say at all. It's silences. It's here refers to the death of her mother. So it is beyond her understanding, the mystery of death, the phenomena of nature. She cannot understand it. So it's silence. Death is related to silence, right? So it's silences. It's silences everything. Nothing can be done. It is inevitable. Death is inevitable. It is beyond one's understanding. So she feels very, weak and hopeless, that she becomes silent with the pain caused by the death of her mother. The constant pain makes her silent, showing her inability to change the situation. So here the poet concludes the poem on a melancholic note with the comment that there is nothing to say or comment upon a natural phenomena which is inevitable, which is called death. The silence of death seems to prevail, and this silence silences all other thoughts. Here in these two words, in this line also, you will find alliteration.